Hello and welcome to another Hot Chips Yena. Today we are looking at Doom, the new one, not the old one.
Doom!
Well, we could talk about the old one, but we'll talk about the new one.
We can.
And we're answering the age-old question, is it worth your time? That's it. Is it worth your time?
Yeah or nah?
Yeah or nah? We've got little paddles, and we'll let you know. So, who wants to start? Who was the most passionate about this game?
Theo's the most passionate.
I was definitely the most passionate about it.
Right.
Before it came out, Theo, what did you think? Like, with the promos you'd seen and stuff, what were you expecting?
I did actually have high expectations for the game.
Yeah.
I saw some of the gameplay elements and the arenas that they had going, and I was like, well, I can't actually relate to the gameplay looking that good. It looks like it flows very well. And I was interested just to see what they did with that, how they progressed the game, and then, of course, how it felt altogether. Because I think from an outside perspective, it looks pretty damn bland, and it looks pretty damn kind of, everything's covered in blood and you're shooting stuff.
Right.
I had super low expectations for this game. I just thought it was going to be bad on many levels.
Oh, yeah?
I wasn't impressed by anything of like what I saw. I think the E3 trailer that they did last year was actually quite good, and then since then they hadn't really lived up to anything they put out there. So I was expecting it to be bad.
Did you try the beta?
I did. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, it was pretty kind of cut and dry, kind of.
So, what was your experience with the game? Like, so you played the beta, and have you played a decent amount of?
I've played a lot of all aspects of the game except for Snap Map, which is like their kind of map creator thing. I'm like, meh, whatever.
Is there a single player story campaign?
There is. Yep. Big campaign, and then a heavy multiplayer focus. So much so that they were both developed by different companies. Oh, and that they kind of like they've used the same engine in the campaign. And
it's just a first-person shooter.
It's just a first-person shooter. Cool. Yes.
And
I played a handful of hours on the single player. And haven't touched the multiplayer because
it hasn't
the beta was bad and the multiplayer is not good.
Well, was Doom known for its?
It was.
Yes. You had to land it up.
I mean, not really Doom. More progressively towards Quake and those styles of games. Sure. You know, it was quintessentially id, but. Well, I guess it wasn't really well known for that multiplayer. It was all Quake and Unreal.
It's interesting now though to have a shooter come out that's like we're not really going to feel like. We're going to do the single player a bit better than the multiplayer. Like that's interesting for them to do that. But it does kind of fit with their brand, I guess. Shall I start then?
Sure. Why not? Let's go.
It exceeded expectations. The game.
Well, you said you had very low expectations.
Yeah, I did. I put the single player in, and you know the overall feel of the game is really good, and the mechanics work well. You just get in and you shoot things. It's really fast. Things blow up. The weapons are cool.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, like to me, it never really exceeds much past that though. Like it's a good game that I'm probably not going to go back to. It doesn't quite have enough for me, and I'm quite a fussy gamer.
Are you going to finish the story?
No,
straight up.
If I feel like if I'm feeling like dumb, like on if I like having one of those dumb days, I just want to jump into something and shoot some shit, then it's the perfect game for that.
It is a bit like that.
Yeah, but it's not like there's no character development that's driving me to return to it or anything like that.
Right, okay.
I don't care how the story ends or the middle of it or how it started.
Yeah.
So it's all about just getting in and having a good time.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what it does really well. It does let you jump in and have a good time.
Is there a story? Is there a narrative?
There is. But it's semi-hidden. Like a lot of it's not really in your face.
It's told through context. Right?
Yeah, it's told through context, and a lot of it's also told through. You pick up items and things in the world that you can read through and stuff. Kind of like Dark Souls in that sense, but not really. As like Dark Souls has characters that talk to you and do progressive stuff. And it has cutscenes and it's got things that you can do, but it's very much like here's a cutscene. Here's just a guy telling you what you need to do next. That very much is how it progresses. But there are characters in there, but you don't really care about them. You're just like, oh. She's evil, gonna kill her one day. Cool. And that kind of just drives you towards there.
And have you guys played the previous Doom games? So Doom 2, Doom 3?
I haven't forgotten. Like I have played them and then just forgotten.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I can remember what happens, but I don't remember how I felt about it.
Right. Okay.
And they were all very much like this in terms of like you just go through. Like Doom 3, they tried to change up the formula and create a bit more of a narrative and a bit more of atmosphere going.
A bit more of a horror game.
Yeah, and then people didn't really respond to that well. And then like this is really a good return to form with a lot of new elements mixed with the old stuff that just it works really well and it flows really well and it plays amazingly. But yeah, if you're in it for the narrative, if you're in it to really sink into something, it doesn't really help there. I think if you had a surround sound system and a massive TV and something like that, I think you could sink into the world a little bit more. But it's the atmosphere isn't as thick as the gameplay and the fun that you can just have. Yeah. And the game is very fun in its execution. Like the way that Doom Guy responds to things in the world. Like you've got someone who's woken you up from a massive slumber and he's like, we should do this. It's beneficial for both of us. And he grabs the screen as the guy's talking and he just goes, no, and throws it across the room and you're like, and then he goes around and he's doing objectives, and then you've got to destroy some pipelines, and the guy's like, yeah, destroy these, or turn off these pipelines. And Doom Guy just walks up to it and just kicks it in, and he goes, no, we spent lots of money on that. So there's a good sense of humour to it, I think. Right. And it knows that.
I think it's a shooter that most people could enjoy, and I think you'd enjoy it as well. Like, it's not, because it's relatively casual and you just kind of you're blasting through stuff. Did you ever play? I've heard a lot of people compare it to the recent Wolfenstein.
I like that. I like the recent Wolfenstein.
Yeah, so like it was a bit of a out of the box surprise, kind of like that game was as well. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people make that comparison. I have not played Wolfenstein, so I could not make that comparison. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty relatively safe game. Yeah, for most gamers. Theo, I feel like you've toned it down a little bit because you were praising this game quite a lot.
There's a lot for me to say about it, but it's hard to really say without playing it. Like, level design is fantastic. There are lots of little secrets in this game. You can go around and do interesting things. And there's amazing vertical movement traversal because you can instantly grab ledges and jump up to them. Okay. And so they've created levels that are very much vertical, and you can jump around and jump onto things, and you can avoid fire that way. It's not just you're on the ground and strafing, which is how I approached the game a lot at the very beginning. I was like, this is a Doom game, let's strafe and do stuff. But the vertical movement is amazing, and the way that you can progress through the game, it makes you feel like you're building up your character. I mean, it's not like an RPG, it's nothing like that. It's just like, cool, I suddenly have an explosive on my shotgun. Let's use that. I just killed 3 demons in one go. That was fun. That was great. And it is all just like loads of fun, and there are secrets everywhere. Kills. And it's just, again, it's a lot about to do with the narrative atmosphere of how they've built the game. I don't even know how to say that properly, but it's like, you know, it's not like really serious, but it is like you are this epic, cool guy who's just blowing things up and it's fun. Right. And then you've got these little moments where you find the collectible Doom guy and it shows you picking him up, and then you rearrange his hand and then you fist bump him and go like that. And then it goes away. And it's those cool, funny kind of touches. And there's loads of secrets that add to the game that are just funny and fun. And it is just a giant ball of fun. Like, there's no other way to describe it. And just playing it is just entertaining. But it is a good switch off.
Replayable? Like, if you played through that story, do you reckon you'd go back to it?
I would definitely go back to it, and I am going to go back to it. So it's got 5 difficulty levels, 3 which are the regular, and then it's got Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. Sure. And those kind of bump up the difficulty of the game, and your character progression stays. So when you jump into a new game, or there's a way that it stays. It doesn't ultimately stay. You do get all the guns earlier and like have the upgrades set and everything, and you can get more upgrade points. But once you've got everything full up, you know, there are certain aspects that allow you to get infinite ammo and run around and do cool stuff that are actually, they're not cheats, they're in the game. It's really cool, and you can customize all the runes and everything. But there's not much, again, to the multiplayer, but I've found it really fun to dive into the multiplayer when you have half an hour of free time and you just want to shoot something.
It's interesting that the multiplayer has kind of failed a bit. I find that really interesting.
Yeah, and there's no other way to play anything but deathmatch, basically. Like, a lot of the game modes are empty.
Because it was a game that they could have actually been really creative with the multiplayer. Yeah. And gone for more kind of Unreal Tournament style modes where, you know, you're playing like rugby or something and you get the ball from one place. So I feel like they could have been they could have been really creative and just silly with it, and it would have been a lot of fun. But I think they've just, I don't know what they've done.
So it just comes down to deathmatch.
It's just boring.
They've gone half serious, but also half, here's a bunch of random elements to it. And the thing that I hate the most about this game is that you get to the end of the multiplayer score screen, and there's Doom Guy, customized as some hellish thing, but he's pink, and he's doing this. And you're like, mate, that's not Doom. It's funny, but it's not. Like, Doom's about being awesome and like sweet and like heavy metal, but then you've got some guy doing the Carlton.
What if it was some girl doing it? And she's having a little.
Well, it could be some girl.
It's still weird. Though.
It's just weird and it's silly. Like it's not
right.
fun. It's silly.
Yeah, I reckon if they had wanted to do that, they should have really gone the whole way with it.
Yeah.
Not had like a red half in the middle.
Yeah.
Like it's serious and funny.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I don't think serious when I think of Doom.
Yeah, it's not,
I would have preferred them to go more fun with it. Yeah,
the
definitely.
multiplayer's a little bit too serious in its execution.
Right,
But it's
almost like it's almost just a little bit too boring.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, should we get a paddling?
I can't wait to see how you're going to paddle the hell out of this game.
Okay, who should we all go at the same time? No, let's go with Theo.
Fuck, I'm going for it. Yeah, I think this is worth it just for the single player alone. I think it's going to be the funnest game of this year. I don't think it's going to be game of the year or any of those kind of things, but it is definitely going to be my funnest game of the year, the game that I had the most fun with. Because I streamed that and I talked to everybody in the chat and it was so fun just going through blowing things up and everybody was having fun in the chat while watching it with me and reacting to it in the ways that I was playing it. It was fun. Yeah. Just fun.
Jordan, is it worth your time?
I'm going to give it a no.
He's going to give it a no.
Giving it a no.
Not because it's a bad game, just because I think that if you are budget conscious, there are more complete experiences that you can buy for your money.
Fair enough, yeah. It was quite expensive, I feel.
It's a full retail game.
It is a full retail game.
I haven't been sold.
I'm going
to say it just doesn't sound like what made Wolfenstein so good for me was that they really managed to put in a pretty decent story and cutscenes, and it flowed really well, as well as having that old school gameplay. And it feels like it's missing some of that storytelling. And I don't know, like the multiplayer, it's not what I think of when I think of Doom, and it sounds like it does it kind of awkwardly anyway. I'm not sold. I'm going to say it's probably not worth my time. It's not the kind of game that I'd be buying.
I'll say what it does do though, as a positive. It gives hope to that franchise.
Yeah.
Like I would look seriously at a Doom 2. Like
right. Do you think we're going to see
Doom 2? That name though.
Doom 2.
Do you think we're going to see Quake? Do we think we're going to see a remake now that we're seeing Wolfenstein and Doom? Are we going to see Quake?
I think this has definitely kicked open some doors, and it has been received well. Yeah. And I think it's gonna people are going to see it and be like, oh, there is a market for this. Yeah.
So if you like Doom, or if you didn't like Doom, let us know in the comments below. If you like what we do here, like and subscribe. If you don't, just stop watching. Don't watch anymore. We don't need it. We've got things.
Yeah, I mean, we like it when you watch.
Yeah.
So do it. Don't listen to Reagan, actually. Do watch. Hit subscribe. See you next time.